And we've been here, John, so many times before about this sort of fragile relationship that not just the UK, but the rest of the Western world has with China. You know, we don't much like the cut of their jib, and they do horrible things to some of their citizens, but they're an economic powerhouse. We have to do business with them. Half the stuff, 90% of stuff we buy emanates from China anyway, so they can rooster and puff away and shout as much as they like, their ministers on the green benches, but it'll come to nothing because China's too powerful. Is that true or false?
That is absolutely true, Ian, although the idea of Oliver Dowden puffing himself up like a rooster
it's a fair point.
Is a little bit unconvincing.
It's a fair point.
He was trying to put us to sleep with his sort of Mogadon Man impersonation there.
I think
so. But you are quite right. That tension does exist and will continue to exist, and obviously affects. I mean, the thing that the government is really worried about is the more sensitive parts of our infrastructure, such as the 5G network and things like self-driving cars or just ordinary electric vehicles. I mean, the idea that if we convert to electric vehicles on our roads and they're all made in China, there is this sort of a nightmare scenario where a switch can be flicked in Beijing and all our traffic brought to a standstill.
I mean, that is, ultimately, that's in theory where all of this could lead to. Of course, we know that lots of countries, including our own, spy on other countries. I suppose China just do it with booster rockets on. That's the sort of territory we're in here, isn't it? I mean, they've got a PhD in this stuff. It's in their DNA, as it might have been in ours 100 years ago or during the war. But, whilst we've tried to perhaps hypothecate intelligence to very specific areas, the Chinese are hoovering it up all over the place. That seems to be the allegation.
Yes, and there's a fairly obvious intention on the part of the British government to just tell the Chinese that we know what they're doing, so that they're a bit more careful in future. I mean, that just means they'll get better at it, I suppose. But at least if you catch them at it, you discourage them from doing anything. I mean, the government says that none of this attempt to hack MPs and the Electoral Commission has been successful. Which at least is a good thing. So this is a warning shot, in effect, saying we know what you're up to, and we'll stop you.
There was talk of the Chinese being very upset about Mr. Dowden and clutching their pearls and shouting slander. I mean, I can't imagine they would give a toss about it, frankly. Can you? I can't imagine a case down there at Snaresbrook Crown Court where Mr. Dowden and Mr. Xi are opposite each other, battling it out over the laws of slander. Do they really care?
No, I think it's all part of the pantomime, isn't it? They pretend to be shocked, we pretend to be outraged, and spying just goes on, and will continue to do so.
And I wonder, in terms of how effective sanctions can be. So, as a little sort of token, a few nuggets of sanctions have been thrown out. A couple of people so far. But I suppose if the entirety of the Western world got together and said, look, there's quite a lot going on around China we don't like very much, could that begin to have an effect? We know that America has made noises in this area, but so far China keeps on going. This big machine that is the Chinese system doesn't seem to stop. But a cohort of countries might do it.
No, but I mean, as you say, China is a very successful economy, producing low-cost goods that we in the West want, and particularly computers, phones, electric vehicles. I mean, all the green stuff that the Keir Starmer and Ed Miliband are very excited about and promised that a Labour government would do. I mean, all of that is in effect going to be bought in from China because they're the experts at solar panels and wind turbines and all the rest of it.
And all of our kit, our mobile phones and everything, it's much. I think the latest iPhone has never had more Chinese components in it. And that would apply to all manner of things we buy online. You can go to Amazon. Amazon might not be a Chinese company, but about 90% of the stuff you buy on it probably came from China, particularly electronics. So there's no, I mean, unless we're going to suddenly start up a business and developing new phones and computers here in the UK, and suddenly Leicester is going to become the Silicon Valley of the world, then we haven't got a hope on this one, have we? We're going to have to carry on doffing our caps to the Chinese.
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely right. I mean, a full-blown trade war with China would not be in our interest any more than it would be in theirs.
Indeed.
And be hugely expensive and disruptive. So that's not going to happen. But you do want to sort of signal that we know what they're up to, and to sort of try and put limits on what they do actually succeed in doing.